I'm the president of the Alliance for Unitive Justice, and AUJ has a very special relationship with two groups in Uganda. One is an elementary school, as we would call it, Trade Junior School, and that's one nonprofit that we work with, and we are presently teaching their staff Unitive Justice online. I want to just briefly share a bit about that. So the staff at Trade Junior School, many of them didn't have cell phones, and for us to teach them online, they had to have computers. So that was a major undertaking, and it included Henry going by bus to Nairobi to buy the computers, and we had to rent a seat on the bus so he could bring them back for 13 hours and not put them under the bus. Anyway, it's been an adventure at every stage just like that. So very soon, we will begin also teaching the staff at Empathy High School. I can't tell you the joy of hearing, well, this isn't joyful, but hearing the stories of how all the adults from Uganda that I meet say how they were beaten regularly in school. But in a unitive justice school, no child will ever be beaten. And to see the blossoming, so Trade Junior School has been there for 3 years, started with 30 students, now it has over 300, and the difference we're making, the impact we're having is tremendous. So if you want to make a donation, please make it to Dear Future. That's the nonprofit that is the financial sponsor of Empathy High School. And you can use the barcode there as well, or do it online. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here and for coming to see something wonderful that's happening in the world. And my pleasure to introduce Henry Katenda, who's behind this major organization and also behind the organization Unitive Justice Uganda. They have made the commitment to make Uganda a unitive justice nation. Yes.
Oh. Is it on? Yes. Good afternoon again. My name is Henry Katinda. I'm from Uganda, as they've already introduced me. A little bit about my background. I was born in an area that is extremely remote. But on the flip side of it is that my parents, I can't say they were a little privileged to take me to school, to the next town that is quite bigger. I went through school just like any other child through the Ugandan school, which is almost 16 years. Unlike in the US, in Uganda, we do have nursery, which you call pre-K here. Then we have primary, which you call elementary here. Then we have secondary school. So secondary school is 6 years, split into two. 4 schools for the first level, and then 2 schools for the advanced level. And then from that, you go to college. So I went through all that because my parents were able to take me through that. But then, how about the kids that I grew up with in the village? The kids that we could play with soccer here and there when I was growing up. So one of the first things that struck me was during my graduation. In that 10 years, I was the only graduate from my village. That was a very big eye-opener for me. 10 years and 1 graduate. And it's because I did not study from there. Perhaps if my dad and mom couldn't afford so much, perhaps I couldn't be in front of you here. But because of their efforts and everything, I'm in front of you. But then I wish for other children that are growing up where I was born. Maybe one out of them one day to be in front of you here. So my work, I own and run a safari company where I take people for vacations to East Africa, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. But then I also lead a nonprofit called Empathy Children Initiative. Empathy Children Initiative was opened with an aim of helping vulnerable children acquire whatever any other child could have access to, but when they are not able to have that. So empathy has been operating for 5 years now, and we have transformed lives, or let me say we are still transforming lives of very many children. I got a privilege to work with 2 American nonprofit, one of them being the Alliance for Unity Justice, based in Richmond. Another is called Dear Future, based in Dallas. With Dear Future, we have been able to help many children in school. We give school supplies, and at the beginning of this year, the beginning of the academic year, we gave to 4,200 children school supplies. Empathy Children Initiative also has a program for girls, and this is called the Sanitary Towel Program. Many girls, when they reach that age of going into menstruation, many don't have what to use. But we have been providing that for the past 4 years. We go into schools because that's where many of them are, and because it's one of the reasons for the dropout, we have been providing, but we cannot do that alone. We do it with the support of different people here and there. So now, I got a vision in mind. This was about 4 years ago. Of like, what I was providing looked like milk to children. How can I teach them to get a cow where they can be getting their own milk? Because okay, a donation of $200 can buy them food, but then what next? And one of the most viable ways of changing a society and changing someone is education. That's when the idea of Empathy High School came into perspective. Empathy High School is going to be a secondary school. That's what we do for the children, and that's my work that I do. Take people for vacations. That's what they experience there. Those are the kids in their happy times. So I came up with the idea of Empathy High School. But it was so huge for me. I was dreaming big, yes, but also dreaming big has limits. I didn't know who to approach, where to go. So by that time, it's when we got in touch with the Unity Justice, and we told them about the need for a school, and also it should not only be a school, but how will it help the community? So the mode of discipline in the Western world, like here, the only exposure we have to the Western world in Uganda is movies and stuff like that. So we could see how people treat their children. Please, be nice. So in my parents' perspective, that's being soft. In our culture, beating a child is let me say no more. And we were beaten so much. It's when I grew up that I realized that the solution wasn't to be beaten every time. Because when a child is wiped, whenever he does a mistake, let's say breaking a glass and then you get beaten, you are going to be forced to learn to say lies because you want to avoid the punishment. This also struck me, I wasn't so good at math. So my math teacher, when I was in primary 7, that's equivalent to grade 7 here, whenever we could do an assessment, he goes and marks, he brings back the papers. He could come with a pile of canes here. And then he had a mode of caning when doing corrections. It was called number by number. So each number that you failed in a paper, it was the amount of the canes you were supposed to get. So parents supported it because they're like, yes, they are making my child perform. But then at the flip side of it, I didn't become a better mathematician either. Despite all the caning, I didn't become a math person or what. Why? I realized caning did not help. So that's when I realized that if we are to set up a school to help children that are vulnerable, we need another approach to discipline. So corporal beating in the Ugandan laws is illegal. But then we are in a country where we have literally 2 constitutions. We have the usual official one, but then we have what culture dictates. And since people are more engraved in the culture, they take more the cultural perspective. And this applies in very many things. Marriage. The Constitution allows 1 wife. Culture allows a man to have as many wives as he wants. He can have 10 if he wants. So there is always that contrast. But people end up going more in the cultural perspective because that's what many have grown up seeing and believing. The Constitution is so much English, so people, that's maybe for people who went to school, that's what many people at the down in the village think. So empathy high school comes into play, and that is the new plan. We had 2 plans. The first plan we drafted, and with the advice of the architect, he said, let us plan for something bigger. It doesn't matter how slow we go with it, for as long as we are steady that in the future we may not need to break any building to put on another. So we came up with that plan for that flat, for that storage. And then we split this fundraising into phases. Phases, it's depending on the need. So the first phase that we are looking at is to be able to complete the 4 classrooms down here, the toilets and washrooms, the water source, and maybe the gate. So that was our initial plan for the first phase. So we started fundraising, and that's when Dear Future, the Dallas-based nonprofit that we work with, came into play. And Dear Future told us, I'll be holding your fundraising, doing financial oversight and accountability and all that. And then told us that American nonprofits, when someone donates, they get a tax receipt and something like that. Yeah, so Dear Future is into working with us, and that is their main role. So where have we reached? We've so far fundraising, we've so far had a total of almost 44,000 US dollars. And with that, we've been able to put up the foundation and the walls of the first level. With that, we've been able to complete the water source. And this water source is not only for the school, it is for the entire community because they do not have safe water. They could get water off the creeks when it rains, and that residue, that's what they could get. The kind of safe water was almost 25 miles away, so they could not walk. So when we set up the water source last year, we completed it, so it is ready for the whole people where the school is and for the school as well. We are done with the sewer tank. We are done with the foundation of the toilets and the washrooms. So what are we left with for us to complete the first phase? The first phase enables us to have the first batch of children to come in because we are starting with 2 classes, that is Senior 1 and Senior 2. That is who we work with, the curriculum. So we are going to have 2 birds with 1 stone. The curriculum that is going to operate in the school is the normal one, like the country uses, but we shall have vocational programs. If someone is going through the normal way of education, they have to learn a skill. By the 4 years or 6 years when they are done with high school, they have a skill, either carpentry, hairdressing, any skill. So it's going to be part of the program. The impact on where the school is. So this is a community that has no high school. There are primary schools around, but where do children go after there? Nowhere. Many girls, when they are done with the primary school, they go into marriage as early as 14, 15. And it's quite normal in the culture for a girl to get married at 16. And many are actually given off. So there is what we call bride price there. For example, if I want to get married, the family of the girl tells me, you see, we took our daughter to school. She's still young, so we need around 15 heads of cattle. And then you're good to go. So now many girls are given off in exchange for the bride price. And many times the men are much older because they can afford the bride price. So imagine a young girl of 16 is going to be wife number 3 to a 42-year-old man. So these girls also, they are not exposed. They don't know the value. They've never seen someone, a fellow lady, successful with studies because they are living way far in the village. But then I believed education could help them see another world that they are not seeing. Further, if they go to high school, they'll be able to see that, okay, so after this level, I'm going to college. How that can be. So it's part of the idea that I thought that I could just teach them to get a cow and have their own milk and give them milk daily. And that is through education. So, no sound. Okay.
Aina nenzanya Romeri nambwira ku kyalo kye Kabuki nga ndi twasiima ino project eno okwida ku kyalo kino nga tuide nti kyida tukolera era kibe kya makulu era nga tulukwenda project eno era ejje mu maiso era nga tusuubira nga idda atuleetera okutoolawo obutabanguko ng'abaana atwidde nti abaana bawala baidda kusomerawo era bakole bulungi era balobe okulowooza ebintu ebyokukola ebizirayo. Aye empegaano pulojekiti eno ndikubona nga eyemereiremu kaire tuwaire okweraliikirira era tubaire tuli kusaba banange mutusaasire mutuyambe embeera eterere tube bulungi. Tubaire tuli kusaba n'ekyaki yona ebeewo oku ng'abakristaayo tube nga tufunirako eidembe n'abaana baife betusomesa era bafune okutegeera bulungi eddiini ng'abaana baife basomera kuno era nga tweyagala nga era tuli bulungi.
That lady there got married at 14. So right now she's 29 with 5 kids. So when the idea of a school in the area came up, she was extremely happy. She was like, I couldn't like other girls to go through what I went through. I never went to school. I'm stagnant here in marriage, where she's wife number 4. So what she said there, she's extremely happy for such a venture to come where she is. So many girls will be able to go to school. And then she said they could also love to have a church. Initially that wasn't part of it, but they could love to have a church. And she was happy about everything she was happy about everything to come into the area where she is, she has lived for long. So for us to be able to complete the first phase, we are left with a total of almost 24,500, and that is with everything combined, desks and literally everything. But of course, that will also take us to the next phase. That's what we are left with to complete the first phase, to be able to have children come in school. The next term begins in February, the second week of February next year. So that is the village chief.
Ninze Okecho Joseph, chairperson LC2 omuluka guno gwe Mawuta. Tusiima ino ekitongole kino olw'okusobola okututeerawo kw'ekizimbe nga kyenda kutuyamba ku kubyendegeresa olw'ensonga nti tufuna school dropouts, twafuna early marriages olw'ensonga nti abaana batambula engendo kamaala, naye okubula essomero mu kitundu kino ekya secondary kireetera abaana abandi obutasobola kweyongerayo. Abaana basigala nga bakoma mu primary awo bajja batandika okukola emirimu egindi. Kale bwe kiba nga kisobola okutuyamba, ife tusaba nti kituteeremu obwibuka ekintu kinene abaana basobola okuba nga education ejja mu maiso. N'abazaire beene bazira busobozi bwongerayo baana. Kale ekitongole kino bwe kiyita ne kitugemerako tuti tegera nga ebyensoma bidda kweyongera mu maiso. N'olw'ensonga oti neeyo tusaba ekitongole kyeyongere mu maiso era ife tukiwagira lwakuba tuzira busobozi bwako abantu oba tunatole sente twayongera kwayo tukiwagira kisigale nga tutuyamba kitugemerako. N'olw'ensonga eyo nga tumaze okwogera ku byendegeresa n'ebyamaadi tubale tugayitira walala n'ensolo tunwa mu bidiba amaadi agatali malungi, ate amaadi bwe tunywa amaadi agatali malungi tulwala typhoid n'endwaire kamaala ino. Aye essaawa eno twebaze ekitongole ekyatuteerawo n'amaadi tuyiti ng'ekyo kidatukola bulungi. Aye empeera ano twetaagisa n'okufunayo okundooza n'ekyaki n'ebyomwoyo byona byeyongere mu maiso. Ensonga eyindi nti essomero lino tulisuubiramu nti GBV oba ebigemagana n'ebyobutabanguko mu maka ebireetera separation oba okweyawulayawulamu, divorce, abakyala okulumuka ku baami baibwe, ndidinga ebyo byonna bidda kutereera nga bisinziira ku isomero irala lino. Kyoba nze nsaba nti ebintu ebyo byeyongere mu maiso tufune obutebenkevu mu kitundu.
I think you're able to read the captions. She was also saying they're extremely happy for the project. Actually, he's the village leader, and they welcomed us extremely very happy for the project in the community. That man over there has 4 daughters that dropped out from school. So he was so thankful that at least many other girls may not have to go through what her daughters went through. And he was happy. He was also saying they don't have a church in the community, so like that would be for another time. Sylvia already talked about that. So that's about Empathy High School. Thank you. Maybe if anyone has any questions about the school and everything, I'm ready to answer. Yes, yeah, we have a link for that that caters for girls and children's needs. Yeah, I think I will provide that link for you. Just to remind you is that one pack of sanitary pads has about 8 pieces in them, and it costs $1 for one pack. Yes. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very huge program, part of what we do. I will share with you some pictures later after here. Yes, welcome. Yeah, it is English. It is the official required by the state. Yeah.
So do you have teachers already?
We don't have teachers yet. We have to first have everything in place, then get the occupancy permit, then we can go on to have teachers. But it's not very hard getting teachers, yes.
There was a question about what to write on the check. Is it on here, on the flyer? Okay,
Yeah,
just writing.
yeah.
It, to
Yeah,
dear
the
future.
check goes to dear. There's a question right there. Yeah.
Did I understand correctly that you're $24,500 away from completion of the first phase?
Yes.
And your visits around the country are to help close that gap?
Pardon?
As you're visiting churches like this around on your touring, I heard
Yes. Yeah.
you're asking, you're counting on folks in all of these places to make it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Trade Junior School.
Yeah.
And yes, if you would tell them just a little bit about Trade Junior School and Empathy High School.
Yeah.
And how you found out about Unitive Justice and how far apart those schools are.
Okay, thank you. So in 2022, I got in connection with a lady called Sarah Daves. She's based in Richmond here, in Virginia here. So we connected with her on LinkedIn. So there is this networking group called Synapse, also based in Richmond. I found them on LinkedIn. I didn't know much about them. Like, okay, let me just attend one of their calls. Who knows? So I attend. So they introduced themselves. I was so happy that they gave me attention and reception. So I connected with people there, and among them was Sarah Daves. So Sarah Daves is part of the Unity Justice Consortium, and then we talked a little. So one thing led to another. We connected more and more and more. That's when we got to know Sylvia and everything and everyone, and also the idea of Unity Justice. We didn't know so much about it. So Sarah traveled to Uganda for 6 months, and she taught us to be conflict resolution facilitators. So in all that process, and a school was born, a primary school in the central part of Uganda, Trade Junior School, built with an aim of mainly helping vulnerable children, but also with the approach of unity justice into it, and it has extremely transformed the area where it is. I started with a few children, and right now I think they are even out of space. Yeah, but and parents have always came to the school to say, we are extremely thankful. There is a change of behavior in their children. Children question them. Literally, in my culture, you cannot question a parent. When say, today we are eating this, you have to say, yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But now children become extremely open-minded. They ask parents, so ma'am, why should we eat cheese? Why can't we try this? Mom, you've raised your voice at me. Mom, you've done this. So kids have become open-minded. Kids have become extremely disciplined. But this is not through beating like the way our parents know it, but it's through the idea of conflict resolution. And it's the same idea that we are going to use in a much older children in high school. Yes. So we have been working for the past 3 years. Last time I was here in Virginia, I remember we visited Emporia, the school called Greensville High School. And I was talking to the children there about this whole thing, and many of them asked me a lot of questions about Africa. And I remember telling them that how I wish they knew the privilege that they have over here. That what they take for granted is what many, many children in many parts of the world are looking to have. But they have it for free. I visited their campus and I thought it is a college, but it was a high school. And they had everything on time, meals on time, teachers are there, all the classes have laptops in them. I was like, do you know what you have? Do you know that you have everything around you to succeed? And many of them were so amazed that they have a lot. I was like, you have a lot, you have even more than enough to succeed. So we are going to spread this idea to very many schools in Uganda, and we already started taking it into deep in the communities in Uganda, and there has been a very good people saying we love this idea. We were taught by our grandparents that beating is the right way, but now, you know, if I talk to my child here and there, we can have a way of solving issues other than fighting over it. So this is a very big idea that is going to bring a paradigm shift into the perceptions and the mindset of generations to come. Yes. That's all. Any other question? Yes.
Thank you, Henry. I'm curious, children have already been through perhaps a lot of trauma by the time they get to high school. How do children qualify to be in the classroom, and then how are they cared for through how are teachers going to be trained and staff to support what you know, but across an entire school?
Yeah. So the levels of education in Uganda, or the perception of education in Uganda, is from up to down. So the first thing we are going to do is to train the teachers, because so also the teachers don't have any knowledge about unity justice. They will not have that. And Sylvia and her group are already teaching the teachers of Trey Junior School, another school, about the same idea. And that is what is going to be transformed to the children that are going to be in school. So this school will be a high school. So for children to qualify to go to high school, they must be done with a primary, or what you call elementary here. So when they pass the national exams, they go to high school. But these will be specifically vulnerable children. This is a donor-funded school. Many, many, many will have access, and that's where this idea will be transformed onto them. And then it's not only ending in the school, even deep into the where people live. Last year, we went almost door to door to teach people, and we covered a very wide area of people, and they were extremely thankful. So socially, if you want to grab men, you go in the evenings. Usually when they are done with the work in the evening, they go to local bars where they take some juice over there. So that's where you meet them, you tell them about this idea. If you want to talk to women, you go to saloons. In the weekend, they want to go and make up some stuff, and that's where you get them. So that's how we are transferring this idea, one to the staff, and then to children. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
How are you getting that money to do that?
One of the most important things in the Ugandan education system is passing high school. So now, when someone passes high school, within 3 years to come, we are drafting a program of not only these kids ending in high school, but also to see how they can go to university, as we call it in Uganda. But also there are two ways. When you're done with the first level of high school in Uganda, you can go to vocational school, where you are trained extensively in skills. If you want to be a builder, you're going to study that for 3 years or 2 years, then you graduate and you're ready to go and work as a builder at the starting level. If plumbing, electrician. So we are devising a program that is after the high school. We don't want these children to end in high school. They have to excel up to when they are done. Yes. But of course, this is in tandem with the vocational program. So, welcome. Yes.
Call the high school, Empathy High School. It came from Sylvia.
Yeah.
And some of you may not know, I met her in 1981 when I left the teaching profession and I didn't know what to do. And she was the only, I went to a psychologist. The psychologist gave me a bunch of tests. She said, you might consider law. So I looked around. The only female attorney I could find was Sylvia Clute. So I called her up and she invited me to the women's meetings, the women attorneys meetings. But she had been practicing law for a number of years, 28, I guess, or more, in civil litigation. Family law was her specialty. And she began to wonder in all those years there was something not quite right, and she felt like perhaps she was doing more harm than good to these families. So she began meditating something called Vipassana. It's a 10-day retreat, and of just meditating and thinking about yourself. And somehow or the other, she got this vision. The vision came to her that there had to be a better way for the system, our justice system, to operate. And it came to her very clearly at some point. She found it just came to her, seemingly out of the blue, that it was possible to have a different justice system in this United States and in fact in the world. And so instead of the current justice system that we have now, which is punitive, which is retributive, she thought of another way which was unitive, based on loving kindness, without punishment. And then she learned about how to resolve conflicts. She had been a mediator, but she also learned about the possibility of forming great circles. Where there was a conflict, they would meet in circles, where the person who had committed some offense would meet with the person who had been victim of the offense, and they would talk about it with appropriate teachers or advisors. And sometimes they would actually turn out to be friends. So it was an amazing experience. And she conducted this program at John Armstrong High School, which was an amazing experience in only 1 year. But their rate of dropping out and their rate of violence in the school dropped way down in just that 1 year. And so she began to do research on this vision that she had. And the result is this book. And I want you all, if you have not had a copy of this book, it is the basis for what Henry is doing. It reached way across to Uganda, which is quite miraculous to me. And she actually invited all the superintendents in the surrounding counties and in Richmond Public Schools to try her Unitive Justice program in the schools. And only one was interested. That happened to be a female, and she was the superintendent of Hopewell. Is that right? Yeah, Hopewell schools. And they now are using the Unitive Justice model in their schools. So it's quite a miraculous. When I look back at her life, and she has been my friend, and I have been her mentor all these years. So we've been on a long journey together, growing together. I read law for a while. I went to law school for a while. It was tremendously traumatizing for me because I'm a highly, what they call HSP, highly sensitive person. I was just traumatized by what I saw and what I experienced, because the whole law school experience was all about training the mind. It had absolutely nothing to do with the heart. It was like the heart didn't even exist. And that troubled me greatly. But after all this research, and I want to tell you, if you have not yet purchased a copy of this book, I encourage you to buy it today. It's only $20. It will change your life. It will change your understanding of what is happening in Uganda, Hopewell, and other parts of the world that are now picking up this image. So I just brought a few copies. If you've bought all of these, I have some more in the car. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much. She calls me her spiritual brother. I met her last year and we've been in contact for the whole year. So when I was coming this year, she told me, Henry, is this the last time I'm seeing you? I told her no. Not the last time, more times to come. Yeah. Yeah. Can you?
I never saw any men, I know there are many in the world, who really care about the welfare of children and are doing something about it. These two men, Henry Katenda and Rick Wawes, they have teamed up together and they have dedicated and devoted the rest of their lives into the service of vulnerable children in rural areas in eastern Uganda. Rick is involved in Guatemala and Peru, which is his native land. And they both came here to Richmond at Unity of Bonaire a couple years ago, and I was overwhelmed by what I heard them speak about, by what their mission was and their intention to serve these children, needy, vulnerable children. I said, well, thank God. There do exist men who are kind, who care about children, and who are loving. And I am so grateful. That's the reason I call them my spiritual brothers. Maybe they're my spiritual sons. I don't know. But either way, they are entrepreneurs. They are visionaries, just like Sylvia's a visionary. And they are activists, just like Sylvia's an activist. And they are determined to make a difference in the lives of these children. So please donate until it hurts. I'm doing that today. I hope you will too. And please purchase this copy if you haven't read it already. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Yeah, otherwise, thank you so much for showing up today. This is my second church to go into Richmond. Last year I went to one, and then this one. I love how short your services are. In Uganda, services are very long. We pray for 3 hours, sometimes even 4. Yeah, but of the churches I've gone to in the US, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and it's done. But in Uganda, 1 good hour for singing and dancing. So thank you. Thank you so much for showing up, and thank you so much for everything. Okay.